Harrison E. Salisbury, 81 years old, an American journalist who witnessed the Tiananmen incident in Beijing, June 1989. A former reporter for the New York Times, Salisbury was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in 1955 for his international news reports. He is regarded as one of the best China analysts in the world.
I first encountered China as a child in the very midwestern city of Minneapolis in the state of Minnesota, a most unlikely place. But my father was a collector of curios, and in his cabinets he had some strange things, a beautiful ebony chest with mother-of-pearl insets, an opium pipe, a pair of very small shoes, embroidered shoes, Chinese shoes, and some strings of cash, the old-fashioned Chinese currency. And these exotic objects aroused my curiosity and my passion to know more about this strange land, which, as I understood, was exactly opposite Minneapolis. All you had to do was dig a hole from Minneapolis right through the earth, and you would come out in Beijing. And like all children who believed that superstition, I tried, but I didn't get very far. Later, when I finally got to China, I discovered that Chinese children have exactly the same superstition, that if they dig a hole far enough, they'll get to America. This caused me all my life to have a curiosity and a love and a curiosity about this interesting country. I suppose this is what originally gave me the idea of going to China and being a newspaperman in China.
In 1949, the year the People's Republic of China was founded, Salisbury covered the historic Mao-Stalin meeting as the New York Times correspondent in Moscow. After closely watching China from Moscow for many years, Salisbury extended his coverage to include neighboring countries like Vietnam, Mongolia, and India. After President Nixon made his epical visit to China in 1972, Salisbury became a frequent visitor to China. He met many of her leaders, including Premier Zhou Enlai. Today, he is one of the very few journalists who has observed China from both inside and outside. At the request of NHK Television, Salisbury became the commentator for this documentary, which commemorates the 40th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China.
When I flew from the United States to China in June of 1989, the last thing I thought was that I would be taking a seat in the front row of a major event in history. There were not very many signs of abnormality. Yes, I had heard reports, of course, that there was tension. The students had been assembled in Tiananmen Square. They'd been protesting since April, and many people had said there might be some kind of a major development. But it was not visible. When we came into the airport was quiet, peaceable. The only unusual thing was that there were not quite so many people as I was accustomed to in that airport. No presence of military, so far as I could see. And I asked my companions of NHK if they'd seen any. No, they said they hadn't. They'd dealt with the military and taking some pictures, but that was all. We got into our cars and started for the city. We came down that great straight boulevard with its lovely plantings of trees and shrubbery. I had my head out of the window several times looking for troops that might be hiding in the bushes. Not a sign of them. The only unusual thing was not too much traffic on the boulevard, not very many cars, not many trucks. And as we entered the city, the same appearance of peace, quiet, and normality. Not so much traffic as I was used to on the Beijing streets, and yet that was not exactly a symptom of impending crisis. We made our way quietly and peacefully right into the heart of the city and checked in at the Beijing Hotel. Sometime before 4 o'clock, I awoke. It was deathly quiet, too quiet. I went to the window and looked out. There was a steady flow of people moving westward toward the square, and some coming back and then moving again toward the square. I heard some cheers and some shouts. It seemed to me they were from the west side. What they meant, I was not certain. There were no cars. Hazy atmosphere, unreal. No smell of tear gas. Eerie to see these people moving so quietly, like a great crowd of white moths, all in white shirts, moving against the dark street. Certainly there had been nothing like it in the period of the People's Republic. The PLA, the People's Liberation Army, the People's Army had marched into Beijing in 1949 with hardly a shot being fired. There were no casualties, no people dead, not even the armies of the nationalists put up any resistance. There had been wars, of course. Peking has been fought over from time immemorial, but nothing quite like this. And I don't really believe the people of China and of Beijing actually thought that their army, the People's Army, would really fire on them.